Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Anarchy Day Trading Podcast. Today, we have a concept that will transform your trading if you truly understand it. Now, bear with me because it's a math concept, and this
Nerd.
can get people tend to freak out, Jordan, when you start talking about math concepts. Now, it's called variance, and now, this is a statistical, it actually has a definition. It's in math, it's the variance is the square root of the standard deviation. Now, statistics was my worst subject going through college. So, I'm not a subject matter expert on this, Jordan, but the actual concept itself doesn't need to be truly mathematically understood, in kind of like the most basic understanding of it. All you need to know is that variance is how much something varies from the expected value, right? So you expect something to be one thing, and there's going to be some natural amount of variation between that. So uh, people, let's say, the weather is going to be 70 degrees tomorrow, Jordan, and so it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way. And the only true measure of temperature, Jordan, I truly believe this. So it's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow. Now,
Let me ask
there's
you a
going to be some
question, Levi.
natural
You're an engineer. What do you make your models in? Inches or centimeters?
I do it in inches, Jordan, because I'm an American.
Really?
Okay. Oh no, I'm not a hey, look, Jordan, I'm not a hypocrite here, okay? Everything now inches make sense? No, of course inches don't make sense. All right? Does 5,280 feet in a mile make sense? Of course it doesn't make sense. No, we do things not because they make sense, Jordan, but because, it doesn't matter if we do something stupid because that's what Americanism truly is. You do something really stupid, but it doesn't truly matter. You know what I
We
mean?
do have
Okay,
international listeners, Ed. We do use.
yeah, I know we do. I know we do. I know we do. And they're all going to be making fun of us as they use their 1,000 meters to 1 kilometer and 1,000 kilometers. It's life is much easier when you use metric. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I've gotten way off topic here. Okay,
Variance.
so variation. Okay, let's reset here. You think it's going to be 70 degrees outside tomorrow, Jordan? 70 degrees, there's going to be some natural variation within there, right? It could be down to 65, it could be up to 75. There's going to be some natural variation. That's variance. How much does something vary? Now, really boring concept there. So if you stuck with us there, here's where it applies to trading, and it applies in many, many, many ways. There's a few things where variance can kill you if you're a new trader. If not, if you're a new trader, if you're a trader at all, right? So, one thing, your success varies. There's natural variation in how you trade. Even if you trade perfectly, there's going to be variation in how many times you win in a row, how many times you lose in a row, how many times you have a 50% win rate. Sometimes you'll lose 10 trades in a row. That's just natural variance. It's not necessarily you trading poorly. It's just natural variation in how you're
If you,
trading.
it's
There's
actually, and
also
if you do the
variation in
math
the
on that
market.
one, just interrupt on that one. If you do the math on that one, the chances of you losing 10 in a row is going to happen at least once a year. Like, that's just the math for it. So if you're a 50-50 trader, you take 3 trades a day, you are going to lose 10 in a row at least once a year. That's what the math says. Now, it could be longer. I did watch a YouTube video of a guy try to roll 5 dice and roll them all the same number, and the chances of that is 1,962, 1,920 or something. He didn't roll that even when he rolled that many. So again, variance, right? But yeah, chance of that happening pretty high, surprisingly high. I think for some people, they don't understand that.
Yeah, it happens a lot more than people think, and that's why we we talked about this before, and I do want to talk about it a little bit today, just kind of to rehash that. It's actually the reason behind why we push for a few unique behaviors, why we push for lower risk to reward trades, why we encourage people to take more trades, to trade more often for less risk. It's one of those reasons. We'll talk a little bit about more about that. But there's another aspect of variation and variance, Jordan, that I also wanted to talk about, and it's been affecting us recently. It's been affecting me personally a lot in my trading. Um, I've gotten whipped out quite a bit in choppy markets. The market has variance. The market varies quite a bit. And Jordan, it's not enough to know where the market's going to go. You have to know when the market's going to go there and whether your trade is going to survive and be still alive by the time it gets there. And there's a lot of times where the market has high variance. It is choppy, it's whipping around, but you're convinced it's going to go in a specific direction, so you take a trade anyway in bad markets and you end up getting taken by variance. So it's a really, really, really important topic to understand, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, variance. It's why I think starting from very early on, we moved to a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. At least we should. I kind of gave up some money yesterday because I got a little greedy, trying to go for a little bit more.
Me too. Me too.
Had a lot of upside. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go for a solid 2-to-1. I should have just stuck with that 1-to-1.
Dude,
Again, you
I,
got to
I sent you
sometimes.
the picture I sent you. The trade I sent you yesterday was the exact same thing.
Yep.
It just barely missed my take profit and came down and
Yeah.
lost it. It's because I
Yep.
went and
Yep.
I
I
tried
should have
to
walked
extend
away,
it.
but I didn't. I ran away. Get it? I ran. Speaking of Iran, with variance, it's another thing, guys. When you're trading during periods of volatility, and let's be honest, we've had a lot of them recently. We just recently did a podcast on trading during volatile political events, or at least trading during volatile uh, political climates. The fact is that those change how much variance is in the market. And so you have to be able to adapt to that variance, whether that is changing your stop loss sizes or changing your risk to reward ratio, because those change fundamentally how the market moves.
Yeah. So to give kind of a brief summary of stuff we've talked about before we get into kind of the newer material. Um, we talk about, like Jordan, you said, lower risk to reward ratios. People talk about, hey, you only have to win, if your risk to reward is high enough, you only have to win 1 out of 10 trades. If your one winner is a huge winner. This is true. It's also true that if you only win 10% of your trades, your variance is going to be much, much higher. Your equity curve is going to be way, way, way more choppy. And so to help alleviate some of the pressure that natural variation brings onto your trading, we advise to take lower risk reward trades, at least so you have at least a 50% win rate. It just helps. Look, if you're a professional and you're really, really good at day trading and you have a really solid psychological base and you have a really, really solid risk assessment, and you're able to make that work for you, then you can do pretty much whatever you want. When we're talking to, well, to us, and when we're talking to anybody else who listens to us, we encourage low risk rewards, 50% win rate at least, just so that you can win more often and kind of minimize that variance. But Jordan, I talk about this a lot. I talk about only trading in quote unquote pretty markets. And what I mean by that is again, it's not enough to know where your trade's going to go. You have to be able to survive to get there. And and that's just pure discipline. It's really hard. And it's much easier said than done for me to sit here and say, hey, only trade when the market variance is not high. Only trade when the market isn't very whippy and choppy. Only trade when, the candles aren't sending a bunch of, wicks everywhere and going to potentially stop you out. It's very easy for me to say that. it's a much different thing to be in the middle of trading, get a look that you really, really like, and not trade just because the market is a little bit more choppy than normal, just because there's a few more wicks than normal, just because the market variance is high. It's really hard to do that, but it will transform your trading if you do it. I promise you. You have to build that discipline because it's this is the stuff where you have to be professional. It's just a business decision, and
So let
it's
me ask you a
again, it's
question.
not enough to know where the market's going to be.
So let me ask you a question, Levi. So is there a difference between variance and volatility?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the way I'm using this, I'm using them in a way that's a little bit interchangeable, and the real kind of quants in the audience, I don't know that we have any, or the math nerds are going to be kind of freaking out about how I'm using this. Because the when the ATR spikes or something like this, when we're talking about volatility is we're talking about kind of the standard deviation of what the expected value is, the price, and variance is the kind of change in the expected results, right? That's the losing streaks. That's okay. Why do you get eight kind of losing streaks in a row, eight losses in a row, when your expected is 50% win rate, right? Very similar ideas. I'm using them somewhat interchangeably, by the way, somewhat incorrectly. But that's a really good distinction to make because they're not technically the same.
Yeah. And the reason I ask that is because volatility is actually something that you can mathematically, as you said, measure. So this Levi and I, we haven't talked about it in a while, but we do not trade with indicators. We trade naked charts. But the fact is, there is a couple indicators that measure market volatility. I don't think you should be using those to base your trades off of, but I've mentioned this was probably back 2 years ago that I do use an indicator to know when not to trade, and that's a volatility indicator. So, for instance, you've got your ATR, which is your average true range. That measures the average range between the high and low prices over a specific period of time. Usually, it's like 14 days. You can adjust the timing for that or the duration of how long it's measuring. But the fact is, if that line is going up, well, that indicates increasing volatility or increased variance. Well, when you get increased variance, we already know you're going to start seeing your trades change. You're going to have to be starting to adjust bigger stop losses or smaller take profits. And so, if some of you nerds out there want to dig into it, or you guys want to actually mathematically measure variance, or should I say volatility, average true range, and there's a couple other indicators out there as well, are kind of a cool way to actually be able to visualize that on your charts for those of you who might like that.
Yeah, that can give you a good kind of yes no if you're worried about how that's going to affect your trading. And yeah, I do like we've talked about volatility a lot, and the variance is a good way to talk about volatility in a way that applies to more than just the chart, right? Variance is the volatility variance in like how many trades you lose or win. That's also volatility, right? It's just volatility in life, right? So yeah, to kind of tie a bow around this thing, when you're talking about variance in how many trades you win, if you're talking about variance in how the market's moving, volatility, um, these are things. If you can put the right kind of mindset around this, it'll put you in a much better headspace. It'll help kind of give context in a way if you're struggling with psychology, if you're one of the traders that struggles with psychology, pay attention because if you can define your losing streaks as, hey, this is expected variation, it helps put you into a much better headspace. I think people can freak out because, Jordan, you mentioned this right at the top of this episode, that people wildly underestimate how common it is to have losing streaks. And you're absolutely right, right? This people wildly underestimate this. This is how they can ruin their lives gambling. If they just double up every time they lose, people go, "Oh, I'll just double up and eventually I'll win my money back." And they don't understand how often people lose 10 in a row doubling up. It's very, very, it's not as uncommon as you think. It's about 1 in 1,000 chances. Which is not terribly high. It will happen sometimes. And so if you can reframe the mindset of behind, hey, I just lost 5 in a row, and a lot of people freak out, go, okay, well, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something wildly different than I was last week, last month? Or is this natural variation that I just need to expect? It's we've talked about this a lot, but day trading is a business, and you have to understand that there are going to be times where you will get you're going to take losses. It's like an insurance company, right? There's going to be times you're just everything's going great and you're getting all the premiums and you're making tons of money, and then there's going to be some times when a hurricane hits and you're going to have to pay out, right? I do real estate. There's going to be times when you're just getting that monthly check when people pay you for rent and everything's fantastic, and then the HVAC goes out, right? So you have to if you think about variance like that, variation in the expected, and taking these kind of black swan events and making sure that you can survive them, you're going to be in a much, much healthier headspace. And that's not even talking about just kind of the mathematical nerd stuff of, hey, don't take trade if the variance or the volatility is X number.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Levi. So really appreciate you sharing your nerd stuff with us today. Listen, guys, we've been on a lot of social media platforms now, so feel free to give us a share, give us a like. Our Discord channel, we're starting to get a few more people in there, so love seeing that. Love starting to see the interactions and people sharing their trading. It's been really great, guys. The Discord channel, come in, join us, especially during times of a lot of volatility, which right now with everything going on in Iran and the political climate, we're starting to see a little bit of chop in the markets. On a bad day, it can be encouraging for you to go in there and go, hey, I wasn't the only one who went 2 and out today. I've went 2 and out a couple times this week. So don't feel bad, but yeah, definitely drop us a like, give us a share, write us a review, and we'll see you next week.